Hello TK, welcome to your reading lesson. For today's reading lesson, we're getting started on a brand new story. So let's go ahead and see what our objective is telling us so we know what we're going to be learning about. Go ahead and repeat after me. I can identify parts of a book. So TK, now I'm going to introduce this new book to you, this brand new story. This is our front cover, our back cover, our spine, the part that holds the pages together. This is what keeps the book together. Then we have our pages, our different pages in our story. And on the front cover, we also have our title. This is what tells us what the story is called, our title. Our title is The Elves and the Shoemaker. I think I see our shoemakers. But do we see any elves yet?
No.
No, right? Not yet. So let's go ahead and get started on this story and see when they pop up. Once upon a time, there was an old shoemaker and his wife, who were good, honest people. They worked very hard. The shoemaker made sturdy shoes for walking, fancy shoes for dancing, and heavy boots for working. He always used the very best leather. He cut it carefully, stitched the pieces together with strong thread, then hammered the heel on firmly. Because the shoemaker worked so carefully, he could not make many shoes to sell. So he and his wife were poor. One night, the shoemaker said to his wife, "Well, my good wife, I have only enough leather to make one more pair of shoes. And when that is gone, we will have nothing. We will still have each other, and we will still have our shop," said his wife. "Do not fear. Everything will be all right." His wife's words cheered the old man, so he cut the leather and got everything ready to make the shoes the next day. Then he went to bed. So before we move on, TK, what did we just find out about the shoemaker and his wife? Were they very rich people, or were they kind of poor people? Poor, right? Were they mean people, or were they known to be nice people? All right, let's go ahead and turn the page. So now you're looking at the page with the green star at the top. In the morning, when he sat down to work, the shoemaker could hardly believe his eyes. Someone had done his work for him. Someone had made a perfect pair of fancy shoes out of the leather he had cut. The stitches were so tiny, they could hardly be seen at all. The heels were hammered so well that they would never fall off. While the shoemaker and his wife were trying to figure out who could have made the shoes, a customer came in. She was so pleased with the perfect shoe that she paid more than the usual price for them. So now the old shoemaker had enough money to buy leather for 2 pairs of shoes. That evening, he cut the leather and put everything out on the work table to make the shoes the next day. And then he went to bed. In the morning, when the shoemaker went to work, what was on the work table? Instead of the pieces of leather, there were 2 pairs of perfect shoes once again. Someone had finished the work. And this time, 2 customers gladly paid high prices for the shoes. And now the shoemaker had enough money to buy leather for 4 pairs of shoes. Every night, for quite a while, the same amazing thing happened. Whatever work the shoemaker left at night, it was done by the next morning. And soon, the shoemaker and his wife had more customers than ever before. All right, TK, before we turn our page, what did we just learn? What kept happening at night to all of the shoemaker's stuff? He would leave materials out at night for the next morning so he could make the shoes? But what was done in the morning? Were the shoes ready to go in the morning? Were they already finished for him? Yeah, right. They were all completed for him. And the customers were really happy. Let's turn the page and see what happens next. One night, the shoemaker said to his wife, "Let's sit up tonight and see who has been doing my work for me." His wife agreed. They hid behind a door and waited. Just at midnight, 3 elves appeared. Although they were dressed in rags, the elves looked merry. Quick as a wink, they sat down at the shoemaker's table and stitched up all the leather into perfect shoes. When the elves were finished, they tidied up the work table and then they skipped away into the night. The shoemaker's wife said to the shoemaker, "Those elves have made us comfortable and happy, my dear. We should thank them. Why don't you make them some shoes? And I'll make each of them a hat and a coat and trousers." Wow, TK, so it looks like the shoemaker figured out who was doing his work for him at night. And what did him and his wife say they were gonna do in return? They were gonna thank the elves by doing what? How were they gonna thank them? What were they gonna make for them? All right, let's see if you answered correctly. Let's see what happens on the next page. Turn the page. Now you should be looking at the page with a blue star in the corner. The shoemaker was very pleased with his wife's idea, so they set to work. The shoemaker's wife made 3 little hats in different colors, 3 warm coats with shiny buttons, and 3 pairs of trousers. The shoemaker made 3 pairs of tiny shoes and polished them until they glowed. That night, instead of leather, they left the presents for the elves on the table. The shoemaker and his wife hid again to see what the elves would do. Just as the clock struck 12, in came 3 elves. They sat down at the work table, got ready to work. Then they spotted the clothes and the shoes. They laughed and clapped and tickled each other. They oohed and awed over all of the lovely clothes. Each elf put on a new outfit and strutted around the room to show it off to the other. Then they danced and sang merrily all around the work table. At night, the elves left very happy into the night. The old shoemaker and his wife never saw the elves again. Perhaps the elves were busy helping another shoemaker. But the old shoemaker and his good wife never forgot the elves who helped them, and they lived happily ever after. That is the end of our story. Thank you so much for following along with me, TK. Now that you read the story, we're going to go back to your objective. Your objective was to identify parts of a book. You're going to do that by submitting a video to me, and you're going to introduce the book to me now. Now you're going to tell me where the front cover is, you're going to tell me where the back cover is, where the spine is, where the pages are, and where I can find the title of this book.
Hello, TK. Welcome back.
All right, TK, I'm going to have Xavier here introduce the book to me. Let's see if he's got it. Where's the front cover? Back cover? Spine? Pages? And where can I find the title of the book? Where is that? They can't see it. Where's the title? Right there. Good job. Bye, TK.
Bye, TK.